Yo, it's another beautiful day to learn something new. And today I'll be teaching you what it means when we say that life is spiritual. So, hii lesson it will be part of a series yenye nitakuwa nikiita Secrets of the Spiritual Mind. And it's one of those topics that napenda sana. In fact, this is the main reason why I do what I do. Hizo readings zote umeona nikifanya, hizo predictions zote umeona nikifanya, hizo video zote umeona nikimake watu wasahau majina, those where you've seen me performing miracles and all those things. All this came about because I was very curious about how humans behave or why people do the things they do. And that's how I ended up learning about the spiritual mind. So kama ni mtu napenda stories za religion, spirituality, witchcraft, maghost, amuko tu na maswali mingi about how the world works, dark powers, manipulation, hizo vitu zote, then you're going to love this series because I'll teach you from the basics tuone mpaka kule tutaenda, as complicated as it can get, as deep as it can go, as dark as it can get. It's going to be a very very interesting series. So kama ni wale watu wanakuanga tu curious, unapenda kulearn, you're gonna love this. Lakini kama ni wale watu unatakanga videos za 2 minutes 3 minutes, then I don't really think this is for you. So I'll be doing it podcast style. Hakuna kuangalia time, ni kuongea. So get ready. It's going to be interesting. I'll do several videos. I'll actually create a playlist on my channel inaitwa Secrets of the Spiritual Mind, and all the videos zenye zitafall kwa hii series nitaziweka hapo so that to help you understand more about the physical and the spiritual realms. Sawa. So sit back, relax, and forget your worries, because whatever it is that is stressing you can and shall be fixed. And while at it, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so that every time I post a new video, you'll be the first person to be notified. All right. So, ushasikia watu akisema life is spiritual. Ama unasikia watu wakiongea about spirits, wakiongea about demons, about witchcraft, Oh, is it real? Is it not real? Do you know why that thing happens? Now, wacha niko explain here. Unajua mimi napenda kuambia watu ma basics. So let's start from the basics. Hata venye niko excited kuongelea hii story. This is my thing now. Wala wananiulizanga, "Boli wewe ni pastor ama wewe ni mchawi ama wewe ni nini?" Mimi am a teacher. I'm here to teach you these things. That's what I do. It's only that I have more knowledge to do things that mmezoea kuona pastors ama wachawi wakifanya. But me, I'm just a teacher trying to teach you some of these things so that you understand how the universe works. Now, as human beings, we have a very important organ in our body inaitwa the brain. Brain. Steve Simpoboy anaitanga brain. Now, inside our brain is where we have what we call our mind. And our mind can be divided into two parts. For today, we are going to divide it into two parts. The first part, we are going to call it the rational mind. The first part is called the rational mind. Melana. The second part, we are going to call it the irrational mind. But for the purposes of this video, we are going to use the terms subconscious mind and the subconscious mind. And that's because the subconscious mind is what we call the spiritual mind. Tunaelewana ama nimewakimbiza? Okay, good. Let's first talk about the conscious mind. This is the mind that is responsible for critical thinking. You're able to reason out things. It is the storehouse for what we call willpower, logical thinking, short-term memory na vitu kama hizo. Your conscious mind is mostly comprised of a part in the mind we call the prefrontal cortex. So you need biology. Is it biology or psychology? So now the prefrontal cortex matures fully at the age of 25. So by the time you come up to the age of around 24, 25, the maturity of your prefrontal cortex bado inakuanga ikiendelea. And that's why when you are younger, you make some stupid decisions na watu sometimes wanakuelewa. Ama uone tu katoi kakifanya tu vitu zake, you don't judge kids harshly. And that's why it's also important that the biggest decisions in your life kama career, marriage, investments na vitu kama hizo, you make them past 25, because below 25 you are prone to making very many mistakes, especially between the age of 18 and 25, because at that time you think you're an adult, but your prefrontal cortex or your rational mind has not fully developed. Tunaelewana? So ukiona una make two mistakes before 25, si kupenda kwako. Ama when you see a 23, 24, 21 year old make mistakes, usiwa judge sana. It's just how the world works, and the way the world works is that the part of their brain which we call the rational mind or the prefrontal cortex haijamkomaa kabisa, but after 25 kuna vitu utafanya tukuangalia sasa tuone mtu ana akili. Okay? So the function of the conscious mind is critical thinking, short-term memory na vitu kama hizo. Tunaelewana? Now, we talked about the subconscious mind or the spiritual mind. This one starts working from the time you're put in your mother's womb. Ile time that sperm and that egg zimegongana, kting, from that moment on to the whole time you're 9 months in your mother's womb, to the time you're born, all through to the time that you die, your subconscious mind or the spiritual mind is usually active. Okay? So now, the main function of the spiritual mind inakuanga na kazi mbili peke yake. Number 1 is to keep you safe. Number 2 is to keep you alive. Your spiritual mind is what is responsible for making sure that your body is functioning the way it's supposed to be functioning, whether you're awake or asleep. Hiyo inafanyanga kazi 24/7, 365, round the clock. That's why ile time umelala bado una breathe out, una sweat, unasikia njaa, mwili yako bado ina process ile food unakula. That's why ukiamka morning unajipata unasikia kwenda kususu. You know, you get dreams. Those dreams also, your subconscious, your spiritual mind is responsible for those dreams, and that's why unapatanga sometimes kuna vitu una dream na zinakam kukua reality. Are we together? And that is because your spiritual mind is at work. Hiyo ndio ile kitu inakwambianga, oya unasikia njaa, because your body needs that food. Oya umeshiba, wacha kukula sana. Oya, you're lonely, tafuta mtu. Even when unashiriki katika tendo lile la watu wakubwa, it's your spiritual mind that is at work. Hizo feelings zinatoka hapo. That's why they say sex is all in the mind. So, and people who know how to manipulate these things, you know, because it's also responsible for things like erections na vitu kama hizo. So no maana unasikianga mtu anaweza pelekwa kwa mganga, sijui afungue hiyo kitu ikose kuamka. Have you ever had, sijui when your man is cheating on you, unaenda kwa mganga, hiyo kitu inafungwa inakosa kuamka? That's because they target your spiritual mind and they know that's where these erections are regulated from. So wakifunga hapo, you cannot get an erection. Unaenda pale, unapewa mechi vizuri, lakini ukifika pale imekataa. Kashike kaamki, nothing is happening, zero billers. But ukirudi kwa mtu wako, kari anapigia saluti kwa mlango. So these things are real, and the only thing that makes it possible for them to happen is because there are people who know how to manipulate things in the spiritual realm or within the spiritual mind. And I'll tell you how they do all these things. This is why you need to watch this video to the end, and also make sure you subscribe to this channel, because this series itakuwa moto. So tunaelewana mpaka hapo? So the spiritual mind is very powerful. It's a very fertile ground. It's also a very fertile land. Unaona kama shamba venye, when it's fertile, whatever seed you throw in there inamea. That's also how the spiritual mind works. It's a very fertile ground. Whatever idea you plant into it, it grows, it becomes a thought, and then that thought you execute it to a point where it becomes an action. That's all the Bible says, whatsoever a man thinketh, so they do. And that's why also you hear people say that before it happens in the physical world, it has already happened in the spiritual realm. Before it manifests in the physical world, it has already happened in the spiritual realm. And that's because before it was an action, it was an idea. before it happened, it was a thought. Nothing happens by accident. In the spiritual realm, there are no coincidences. Naelewana? Najua nasema vitu mingi sahi, but don't worry, break it down pole pole. That's why it's a series, ndio tusome hizi vitu pole pole tukiendelea. Na unaona vile hii story imenibamba. Hata sidhani kuna video nyingine nishaifanya nikismile ile designer smile leo. Also, your spiritual mind does not distinguish between real or fake. Kumbuka the rational mind, nilikwambia it can tell whether something is real or an illusion. So, the spiritual mind cannot tell whether something is real or it's an illusion. And that's why sometimes unasikianga watu wakisema, anaona mashetani, mtu anaona mtu wenyu alikufa but unamuona mpaka mnaongea na yeye. Unasikia mtu akisema ameona nyoka, ameona maghost, ameenda chini ya, kuna wale watu unasikianga wakisema alichukuliwa na shetani akaenda akapelekwa in the middle of the ocean, wakafanya sacrifices, marine spirits. Unasikia watu wakiongea about spiritual husbands. Yani watu wanaongea vitu wanaona, vitu scary wanaona, but where hata uko umekana huyo mtu hapo auoni. And that is because in the spiritual realm, you cannot tell if something is real or it's an illusion. Illusions appear to be very real. And these illusions, because they are real, people tend to believe that they're actually seeing these things. Ukaenda pale TikTok, I think those videos I've also posted them on IG, either TikTok ama IG. You'll see me trying to do some demonstrations with people. Kuna jamaa nilikuwa naambia hapo, anaona pesa zinanyesha. Kila mtu anamwangalia anamwambia uongo. Mwingine mkono amestretch hivi, mkono inakaukilia hapo, haezi weka chini. Mwingine anasahau jina yake. That was just me trying to mess around with the spiritual mind to try and explain a few concepts. So it's very possible mtu kuona maghost. It's very possible mtu kuona hizo manyoka. It's very possible mtu kutravel aende chini ya bahari, afanye hizo sacrifices. All these things are real, can happen in the spiritual mind. In the physical mind, kwa mtu mwenye ana reason utasikia hizo kama ni stories za jaba. But kumbuka, the spiritual mind cannot tell whether ni story ya jaba ama ni real. And that is why people who know how to work things in the spiritual realm are able to put these dreams, vision, and all these dark stuff. That's how witchcraft works. That's how satanism works. That's how dark psychology, manipulation works. Just because the spiritual mind is very fertile. Whatever you plant there will grow. So if you plant evil, evil will grow. Yeah, I'm so sorry. So also the spiritual mind is what takes care about your beliefs zako, whether you believe in God, the devil, this, whatever you believe in. All that, your beliefs are stored in the spiritual mind, your emotions, your habits, your long-term memory. In fact, you can remember kitu hata ili happen hata ukiwa kwa tumbo ya mama yako. Did you know that? Did you know that you can actually remember things that used to happen when you're in your mother's womb? Hata kabla uzaliwe. Yes, because your spiritual mind was recording. Your spiritual mind started recording things from the time you're in your mother's womb. That's why unapatanga when a woman is pregnant, anaambiangwa, when the baby is kicking, unaweza ambiwa, muimbie. With the father, you are told, be close to the mom because the baby can feel that warmth. At some point, unaambiwa, start talking to the baby even when the baby is in the womb. That's because the spiritual mind is very active and it's recording everything that is happening, and it can record and it can identify some things. Mtoto akiwa kwa tumbo anaweza tell, huyo ni mama anaongea, huyo ni dad anaongea. So when the child is born, they automatically know this is their dad, this is their mom. That's why when you're pregnant, you're encouraged to talk to your child, you're encouraged to say nice things to your child, to manifest positivity. You know, vitu kama hizo. Unaambiwa usikunywe pombe because these things can really mess up the spiritual mind. I know these things are scary, but hey, I don't know if they're scary or interesting. To me, they're interesting. To many people, they are scary. Yes, that's the power of the spiritual mind. We also have imaginations and our creativity. Zote ziko hapo, all the developmental stages in our lives, our relationship patterns. Unaonanga mtu, you only date wakora, ama watu wanakuchapa, ama cheats. Like your relationships never seem to work. You seem like you're dating the same people all the time is because these patterns are stored in your spiritual mind. So if you want to stop dating the wrong people, you need to work on your spiritual mind, and I'll teach you how to work on these things. In introduction to tunapitia tu haraka haraka. Sawa. Also your intuition in some quarters, for instance, Christians call it the spirit of discernment. Ukienda kwa watu wa spirituality wanaitanga the third eye. All these things are in your spiritual mind. Also your spiritual connection, the connection you have with God or the devil or trees or cows or whatever it is that you believe in. It does not matter. As long as you believe in something, that connection is stored in your spiritual mind. And I've also told you, your spiritual mind is what helps or regulates how your body is working. Hata saa zenye umelala, your spiritual mind is seriously at work. Sawa sawa, hiyo ndo inafanya blood in a pump. And some of these things you don't even know they're happening. That's how the spiritual, because it works in the background. You're not aware of what is happening, but your spiritual mind is recording everything. Now, do you know that kutoka uliamka asubuhi, let's say ukaenda job, mpaka saizi zenye umefika job, your spiritual mind recorded everything that happened from the time you left the house to the time you got to work. Like, if I was to get into your spiritual mind and start getting the memories of where you've been, there's a way we can access it. Tuone kila kitu yenye uliona tangu utoke kwa nyumba. You can remember every face that you saw, kila gari yenye ilikupita, as long as uliangalia, whether you recorded it or not. Unaweza tuambia ni gari fulani ndo ilipita, ni gari fulani ndo ilipita. You can even tell us the number plates of all those cars zenye ulipitana nazo. Like, that's how powerful your spiritual mind is. Like, it's crazy. Like, the more things I'll be telling you, utakuwa unaona mpaka kwingine ni kama nakupima. That's how powerful your spiritual mind is. And that's why people who know how to work within the spiritual realm, they are able to do some really powerful stuff, whether good or evil. Tunaelewana? Okay. Sawa, wacha sasa to change gear kidogo. So now you know we have the rational mind, or what we call the critical faculty. And you know we have the subconscious mind, or what I'm calling the spiritual mind. So now I've told you that the spiritual mind is a very fertile ground, and whatever it is that you put into it, it grows. If you put good in your spiritual mind, good things will happen in your life. If you put evil, you'll become an evil person. Ni kama shamba. Ukipanda mahindi, unavuna mahindi. Ukipanda mbosho, unavuna mbosho. Huwezi panda mahindi, alafu uvune maembe. That's why they say garbage in, garbage out. So if you put a lot of garbage in your spiritual mind, you'll have a lot of garbage in your head. If you put bitterness, you will get bitterness. If you put negativity, you'll always be a negative person. You'll never see anything positive in this life. If you plant positivity in your life, in your spiritual mind, you'll always be a positive person. Positive things will happen in your life. Na vitu kama hizo. So, kwa shamba ukienda kuplant kitu, for instance, let's say unaenda kuplant mahindi. Unaona vile na smile nikiongelea hii topic naipenda. I wish I can be doing all videos like this, because nasikia poa nikiongelea hii topic. This is why they say do things that you love. So, I digress. Ukienda kulima na unataka kupanda mahindi, unaendanga kama umebeba mahindi. Unaenda unapanda, unachimba tushimo vizuri, unaweka manyua, alafu unaweka tule to made seeds. Kama ni beans unapanda, unaweka to beans to seeds. Kama ni waru, kuna zile waru unapanda, and so on and so forth. So, how do you plant things in your spiritual mind? Because I've told you it's a very fertile land. How do you plant things in your spiritual mind? You plant it through something we call suggestions. Suggestion is injecting, conveying, or planting ideas in somebody's mind. Kumbuka nilikwambia, before it happens in the physical world, it has already manifested in the spiritual realm. Before it's an action, it's an idea. So you plant ideas into people's heads. Everything that you know, everything that you believe is because somebody planted that idea in your head, in your mind, whether you knew it or not. Those were ideas that were planted in your head, in your mind. And that's why you believe all these things that you believe in. So you plant ideas in people's heads or in people's minds or in the spiritual mind through what we call suggestion. Okay? Now, suggestion is happening in two ways. There's what we call heterosuggestion, although the name is not important. I just want you to understand the concept. Kumbuka hii ni basics. So tukiendelea huko juu tutaendelea ku get deep. So there's what we call heterosuggestion. Heterosuggestions these are ideas that somebody else has planted into your spiritual mind. Kama saizi zenye nimekuambia, hizi vitu zote zenye nimekuambia, those are ideas that I'm planting in your spiritual mind. The person who told you there is God, that is somebody who planted an idea in your spiritual mind, and that's why it grew. Somebody who told you all the things that you knew, because it came from somebody else to you, those were heteral suggestions. The other way to put or to plant ideas in your spiritual mind is what we call auto-suggestion. Auto-suggestion is when you yourself, you plant ideas in your own spiritual mind. These are the things you say to yourself. These are the stories that you tell yourself. So when you say, mimi ni mjinga, you're planting a seed that you're a fool. And that seed will grow in your spiritual mind and you'll end up becoming a fool. Because remember, for the rational mind to make a decision, it has to consult the spiritual mind. So if you've always said when mjinga, you end up becoming a fool. Nalana. And kumbuka, the things that you also tell yourself, the auto-suggestions you give to yourself, those are also the things that implant fear in you, doubts, negativity, and all those things. Now, that is the easy part. Sasa hapo ndio sasa tumesema the easiest part. Na umeelewa, we have wacha tufanye kwanza summary. Najua nawakimbiza sana but once tumepita hapa hizo zingine nitaweza kwenda polepole. So from the start tumesema we have the conscious and the subconscious mind. Tukasema the conscious mind ndio tunaitanga the rational mind. The prefrontal cortex, hiyo ndio inakusaidia kufikiria, hiyo ndio iko na willpower, hiyo ndio iko na decision making. Na tukasema pia kuna the subconscious mind yenye tumeita spiritual mind. Alafu tukasema the conscious mind fully matures at 25, but the spiritual mind is active from the time you're conceived in your mother's womb to the time you die. Inakuanga active through and through. And it also records and stores a lot of things, your beliefs, your emotions, long-term memory, na vitu kama hizo. And we've also said it does not differentiate between real or fake. You cannot tell whether something is reality or it's an imagination or an illusion. Tunaelewana? Na tumesema it's also very fertile. Whatever you plant inside there grows. If you plant hate, hate grows. If you plant negativity, negativity grows. And you're made up of what you plant in your spiritual mind. If you plant good in your spiritual mind, you become a good person. If you've been planting evil, you become an evil person. If you've been consuming evil, if you've been taking in negativity, you end up also becoming a very negative person. Na tumesema how you get information or how you get ideas or how you digest things spiritually is through suggestion. Tukasema suggestion, we have heterosuggestion. These are ideas or things that other people put into you. Na tukasema kuna autosuggestions. These are the things that you put into yourself. These are the stories that you tell yourself. These are the things that you believe. And that these are the things that you say to yourself. Tunaelewana mpaka hapo? Very nice. So now that sounds like a very, very simple concept. Correct? Now this is where it gets interesting. Sasa kuna watu wanajua that the spiritual mind cannot differentiate between reality and illusion. They also know that you can implant thoughts, emotions, and ideas in another person's spiritual mind through suggestion. Okay. And they also know that you have a watchman called the critical mind, or the conscious mind, or the rational mind. That is your watchman. That is what that analyzes the information that you're getting, ndio ijue kama hii ni information mzuri ama hii ni information mbaya. Okay? Your conscious mind, your rational mind is the watchman. It analyzes all the information coming to you. And that is why we call it the critical faculty. Now, these people have also learned that you can bypass the critical faculty and go straight to the spiritual mind and plant all the ideas that you want in that spiritual mind without the critical faculty having an idea that you're planting ideas and suggestions into people's spiritual minds. And that's now where things start getting real risky, real dark, and real evil. Once you bypass, kumbuka tumesema the rational mind kazi yake ni kuangalia hii kitu ni ukweli ama si ukweli, hii kitu ni mzuri ama si mzuri. So once you bypass it, ni kama uende place, let's say umeenda kwa nyumba ya mtu ama kwa ofisi, pale hivi kwa reception kuna secretary na lazima upitie kwa hiyo secretary. So huyo secretary ndo atadetermine whether utaingia kwa mdosi ama utaingia kwa mdosi. So that's how your rational mind works. Your rational mind determines whether you're going to accept this idea or not, whether you're going to accept this suggestion or not. Okay? But sasa you found a way to bypass the secretary. Maybe umetime sasa secretary ameondoka kidogo, umekuja umeingia kwa ofisi ya mdosi. Ama umepitia kwa dirisha ukaingia kwa ofisi ya mdosi. Ama umeingilia mlango ya nyuma ukaingia kwa ofisi ya mdosi. And because you've been able to bypass the secretary has no say whether you're going to meet the boss or not. Ama kama ni watchman, as long as umerukia kwa fence, watchman ana say ushaingia. Kwenye huko unatakikana kuingia, already ushaingia. So that is what happens when you bypass the critical faculty, or what we call the rational mind. Don't worry about the big terms that I'm using. Najaribu kuexplain hii concept vizuri. So, once you are able to bypass the watchman or the critical faculty or the rational mind, you get straight into the spiritual mind, and you can implant whatever it is that you want uko ndani. And that is what these people who are able to work or to manipulate the spiritual realm, that is how they do. They bypass your rational thinking through ways which we call manipulation. Kuna vitu kama manipulation, mind control, spiritual control, vitu kama hizo. And that's how witchcraft works. That's how people who are able to control many people work. That's why you are able to see somebody who was a nice person all of a sudden that now they've become evil, because everybody has a potential to become good or evil. Naelewana? So once you bypass the rational mind or the thinking mind, whatever you put in the spiritual mind, remember it will grow. So if you put evil thoughts will grow. If you install crazy stuff will grow. And that is how mind control works. That is how manipulation works. And that's how things like witchcraft work. They're able to plant ideas in your spiritual mind without you having to think about them. And they do them in so many ways. Jokes. Mtu anakupea joke kumbe ni information anataka kuweka kwa spiritual mind yako. Maybe ni news una watch, mtu anakupigia story, unafikiria tu ni story mtu anakupea, kumbe anakuweka mavitu kwa kichwa. Una watch movie, unafikiria tu ni movie una watch, kumbe ni mavitu unaweka kwa kichwa. And because your mind is not seeing these things as manipulation, you become manipulated very easily. It's very easy. That's how I was able to make people forget their names. Mtu jina yake amejua kutoka azaliwe, within 2 minutes nimemfanya ameisahau. Just because I was able to bypass that. So kuna njia mingi za kubypass, na hizo tutaongelea as tunaendelea. Okay? So for today I just wanted you to know that when people say that life is spiritual, what it means is that everything that happens in life, everything that you see in life, everything that you believe, you being alive is because everything happens in the spiritual mind. The spiritual mind is what that keeps you safe and alive. Once your spiritual mind is dead, you're dead. Once it is shut down, it is shut down. And it's very easy to attack your spiritual mind. There are so many ways to attack your spiritual mind. And there are so many ways to plant evil thoughts and evil ideas in your spiritual mind. And that is why the Bible tells us in Ephesians 6, the Bible tells us, for we battle not against flesh and blood. The battle is not against flesh and blood. Kumbuka flesh and blood tulisema is the physical body. But against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, and against spiritual forces of evil in heavenly realms. So spiritual warfare is simply the kingdom of darkness trying to put evil thoughts in your head and making you believe that they are real. And because your spiritual mind cannot tell between reality and illusion, as long as I've put something in your spiritual mind and convinced you it's real, it becomes real, even if it is evil. That's why unapata mtu mpaka anaweza kuchukua mtu mwingine amsacrifice because they've been made to believe that is good. And kumbuka, the devil masquerades as an angel of light. And one of the ways that people are able to convince people that good things are bad and bad things are good is through what we call deception. But this is all ni vitu tutakuwa tunasoma. Okay? So yeah, that is how it works. I hope I've made a good explanation. Najua imekuwa complicated sana, but hey, you gotta start from somewhere. So in summary, this is what I want you to think about. So your spiritual mind is like a watchman. Is like a your spiritual mind is like a house. A house that has many rooms and it has a lot of treasure in that house. And pale kwa gate, we have what we call your rational mind. Okay? And huko nje kuna watu wanataka kuiba vitu from your house, which is now your spiritual mind. Na ndio watu waingie, ndio watu waibe hizi vitu, they have to first get into that house. So they have to look for ways to get into that house. So either waende wa convince the watchman or the guards at the gate that, hey, we are good people and we want to enter into this house. If the guard lets them in, they'll come in and they'll steal everything they want to steal. Alternatively, they can look for other ways to bypass the guard. Wanaweza decide warukie kwa fence ama wakuje washike huo guard wamtandike wamfunge ndio asiwakataze kuingia. So that is what we call manipulation, deception, mind control, and other dark ways. Or sometimes it's not always dark. Some are genuine, because when we are doing spiritual healing, kama sasa uko na curse, you have a generational curse and you want us to itoe. You see, we have to get into your spiritual mind. Kama wewe ni mtu na experience spiritual husbands, you're experiencing spiritual wives, you know, unaota na maghost kila siku, we have demons tormenting you in your sleep, we have to come in and get into your spiritual mind so that tutoe hizi vitu. And we have to find a way to get there. So there are good and bad ways of getting into your spiritual mind. So kama wewe ni mtu na deal na curses, una deal na fears, you fear marriage, umeshindwa kuacha vitu kama masturbation, you always attract the wrong people. All these things can be made to disappear by just getting into a spiritual mind and working a few things inside there. So there are also good ways and good reasons for accessing your spiritual mind, because that's how you're able to heal your emotional and your spiritual wounds. So kisikia nikiambia watu tunasoma future, tunafungua nyota, we just get into a spiritual mind using one or another, and we get all the bad stuff out, we leave the good stuff in, na maisha yako vitu zinafunguka. Kumbuka tumesema as long as there are good things in your spiritual mind, your life will be good, but as long as there are bad things, evil things in your mind, you'll have a very negative life. So once hawa wakora wamemanage kuingia kwa nyumba yako, they can steal everything in your house, which is your spiritual mind, and they can leave their dirty stuff there. They can leave their evil things there. So that's why you're always told to guard your heart, because again, in the spiritual realm, when you talk about the heart, we're talking about the spiritual mind. The heart symbolizes the spiritual mind. So ukiambia mtu from the bottom of my heart, they're saying from the deepest of my spiritual mind. Tunaelewana? So I know today's video has taken long, and it's a video that you might need to watch several times. But since we've said it's part of a series, endelea kuongea hii topic. And I'll also watch this video and see the points that I need to explain better, the points that I left out, so that we build onto this process. So if you're in your awakening journey, this video will play a very critical part. And also this series will help you in your spiritual journey, in your spiritual awakening. If you're going through healing, whatever it is that you're going through and you need answers to life, this series is the best thing that you need. So nimesema vitu mingi. I also need to go watch this video nione ni nini nimesema na ni nini sijasema. But I hope at least kuna kitu moja umeget. Not usipoget vitu mingi, just get that you have a spiritual mind in you, which helps you, whose work is to keep you safe and alive. Hiyo ndio inafanya mwili yako ifunction, hiyo ndio inakuconnect to the spiritual world na hizo vitu zote. Tunaelewana? Alright, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I also hope that I'll see you in the next video.